Did you ever meet Richard?
I met Richard.
You met Richard.
Yeah, I actually worked with Richard for 5 weeks in a row at the Comedy Store before he died.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wheelchair?
Yeah, they had to carry him to the stage, and they would crank up the microphone, and he was really sick at the time.
Yeah.
He was on his way out, and I was 27. I was, just getting to Hollywood, just recently a paid regular at the Comedy Store. Had no business being on stage with Richard Pryor. And he would go on, and then I'd go on after him every night.
Who has business being on stage with Richard Pryor?
Nobody, right? He was the reason why I even understood what comedy was. When I was 15 years old, my parents took me to see Live on the Sunset Strip in the movie theater.
Uh-huh.
And I'll never forget, because I had seen a bunch of great movies like Stripes and, fucking all these funny movies. I had never laughed so hard as I was laughing at this guy who was just talking.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't imagine that this was like, how is this happening?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sitting in the audience, and I remember looking around while I was laughing, and people are falling out of their chairs. They're throwing their arms up in the air. They couldn't breathe. And I was like, this is amazing. All this guy's doing is talking. And that planted the seed in my mind about what stand-up comedy is. I'd never considered doing it at the time. I was just like, this is incredible. And I became like this giant fan of stand-up comedy from that moment. And then I started listening to his old albums, and I started listening to all sorts of different, like Cheech and Chong and Bill Cosby and all these different like stand-up comedy albums.
Those are good records.
Oh, my God. And that, was sort of like the beginning of my obsession with the art of stand-up comedy, was that one time seeing him in the movie theater when I was a 15-year-old kid. So
And
for
then
me to be sharing the stage with him 12 years later was nuts. Just nuts.
Was he still funny?
Unfortunately, no. No, he was, it was sad. It was sad, and the audience was super bummed out. And so I would have to revive the crowd as best I could. Because he was gone.
Yeah.
He was medicated, and he was also drinking. So he was drinking and he was medicated, and they'd have to crank the microphone. So he would go on stage, you'd hear, because the mic was just cranked, because his voice was so soft.
In a way, he kind of earned the right to go out like that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
5
5 weeks
complained.
of unfunny Richard.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
I'm sure he had his moments. There was some moments where he got some laughs, but for the most part, you'd go on stage afterwards, and people would look at me like this, like, fuck, like, what did we just see? They were coming to see Richard Pryor, their hero in comedy, and they got to see a great artist at the end of his line,
Yeah. My jam with Richard was everything but Long Beach.
Oh, yeah.
That's my jam.
Oh, my God. That was when that guy came up to take a picture at the beginning of the show. It was like, hey, motherfucker, what are you doing? People are coming to their seats as he's on stage.
Yeah.
Like, he's on stage, and people are he's filming his comedy special as people are walking in and sitting down.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing.
Priceless.
Oh, my God. And it's a great special, too.
Yep.
It's a fucking classic special. That's a good one. I performed in that very same place. And that's all I could think of was, man, Richard Pryor. He did a special here. And there's only a few. He only has a few specials. It's a very small handful. Some of the great ones are, there's cassettes that are available that you can now get on YouTube of him performing at Red Fox Comedy Club. Red Fox had a comedy club in Los Angeles.
Sold Out.
Yeah.
Called Sold Out.
And he performed there. I think it was just called Red Fox Comedy Club, wasn't it? Maybe
I think he's had a few. Yeah. And I think Red Fox turned into Sold Out.
But I bought the cassettes at a gas station. I was at like a truck stop one place, and they had cassettes. And I was like, what is this? And they were just like raw recordings. Mm-hmm. You could hear the clink of ice cubes in the glass, and you could hear people in the crowd, and he was just riffing and talking shit, and it was amazing. And so, I mean, some of his great work is not on video. Some of his great work is really like cassettes.
Do you have those cassettes?
Oh, yeah.
You have those cassettes.
Yeah.
You're taking good care of those cassettes?
I've got a lot of his stuff.
Did
a lot of his old
you digitize those cassettes?
Well, I've got digital copies of some of them. You can still buy a lot of them. You can still buy a lot of them online, too, which is great. You know, that's a beautiful thing about today. Like, someone could tell you about a great song or a great album, and you can just go on your phone and get it.
Yes.
Like that.
I appreciate that.
I'll take that.